Hi there, it's Mark, and this tutorial is not really a Lightroom or indeed a Photoshop tutorial. This tutorial is aimed at those people who want to record the back of their camera, be that for a workshop, for a demonstration, a tutorial, or YouTube. If only I knew someone who did YouTube videos, that might be useful. Anyway, when you record through your camera, that's just a video of what your lens sees. When you take a picture, that's just a picture of what your lens sees. Neither of those show the back of your camera, upon which there's lots of other information about the exposure, the metering, and so on. Even whether or not your battery's running down. No, we're fine, it's not flashing red. So even when your battery's running down. Also, if you want to show someone menu settings, you press the menu button, you scroll through some menus. None of that is recorded on camera. You need a separate piece of kit to do that. Let me demonstrate it first. So here is a recording from the back of my camera of a sad looking plant on the window ledge in one of our rooms, and I'll just play it for you. You can see it's got all the exposure settings on this side, 60 to the second, f2.8, ISO 100, and you can see what my light meter is doing up there. And then I'll show you how you go into the menus, and I'm scrolling through the menus trying to find focus assist. Was it focus assist when I did this one? Focus peaking, there we go. And I'll switch focus peaking on. We return to the picture, and when we return to the picture, focus peaking shows everything that's actually pinpoint and focus in red, and that can be very useful at times, especially when you're in manual focus. There you saw me zooming in and out manually, and it was going blurred and back, and the red disappeared and came back. So it can be very useful. So, oh, that was the end of that video. I'll close that now. So there you go. That can be very, very useful for creating content. Now, there are commercially available solutions to this, which can be upward of £500. And well, I did that in about £15. So not all pegs fit the same holes, but that's what this video is about. I will show you what I did to get this to work. Now you can, some people might be ahead of me now, you can put a cable in your camera and straight into a laptop or something and tether. And again, that shows you what your lens sees. It doesn't show you the back of the camera. It doesn't show you the menus. So it is a different kettle of fish. But we can certainly beat £500 and get it down to about £15. I'll show you the kit, I'll show you how I connect it, and I'll show you how we are going to use it, probably in future videos. So not only will I show you how to edit something, but if it's got a particular camera technique on it before we edit it, I'll be able to show you how that was taken and what it looks like. So if that is something that interests you, then give me 7 seconds or so to put the kettle on, have a cup of coffee and play my intro, and I'll see you very shortly. And let's see where this takes us. So welcome to the other side of the titles. It's a strange place. So here we are in Lightroom, and let's address tethering first, because I did brush over it. This isn't about tethering, but because we're using cables and connecting, let's have a look at what tethering can do. And in a very simple demonstration, let's attach a USB cable to my camera, and let's use Lightroom here to see what we can do. So first things first, I will show you attaching the USB cable. Here's my camera. There's the actual desktop that you can also see on the other one. This is getting surreal. And let's just play this. So it's a case of just prising up the weather sealing flap on the side of the camera and plugging the USB cable in. Note this cable has got a right angle connector. That's very important, and we'll be using the right angle connector for the HDMI too, which you can actually see beneath the USB port here, because rather than have a cable sticking out here and then gravity pulling down, which could impact the port, because it's a right angle, gravity is pulling down perpendicular against the port, so there is no strain on the port. With an HDMI cable, it's even more pronounced. Do I have one to hand? Yes, so here, for example, is an HDMI cable. You can see it against my shirt there. It's going to stick out quite a way, and then the weight of whatever's on it is going to pull down against the connector, and the torque it produces is not good for your port. So by having a right angle connector means that everything is just vertical, perpendicular to the force. So that's fine. There's no horizontal, there's no component going to destroy our port. That's all I want to say on that. So I'll just shut that down. In Lightroom, I've got my camera connected. If we go to tethered capture, start a tethered capture, there's lots of options, but I'm just going to go with, I've typed in YouTube test, and everything else I'm just leaving as is. You can see on there, I'm not really bothered what the location is or anything for this particular demo, and I'll just say okay. My camera is switched on to my right shoulder, and it's found it, and we're ready to go. So I don't know what I'm seeing at the moment. I can look in the back of the camera, it's over there, but we can also just click on live view, and this will give us the view from the back of the camera. Now notice that all of that other information we looked at briefly on the introduction about the settings aren't there. However, tethered capture does give us a separate bar here which has got the exposure and such on. So let's just click there to autofocus it. And what's in the way? Right, this bit here, that is the boom arm at the end of the microphone which comes down and is in front of me. So we'll ignore that for now. Doesn't really matter. Here's a focus point. We could actually click there and focus into there, or click on this little thing here, and you can see the focus shifting around. So let's click on this. Incidentally, this is was a Christmas present from last year. If I can just flip it over. There you go. Magnetic iron filings. Very entertaining to watch. But that's not what we're here for. Let's take a picture of it. Click OK, and the tethering will actually bring it straight into Lightroom. If I close down the live view, you can see here it is behind. We can go D for our develop module, and we can start editing this picture. Let's do something, make it black and white, just so you can see that we're actually doing something. Let's bring the texture up. Let's take the exposure down a little bit. So there we are. Let's go back to live view, and I can adjust things in live from here. I could go 100th of a second. I can change the depth of field. So I can control and do everything from here. So that's basic tethering, and you just click on and on and on. But it's not recording unless I now record this screen. And it's certainly, if I press the menu button on the back of my camera, I'm now looking at the menu on the back of my camera, but you don't see it. So that is another downside to this for the intended purposes I talked about earlier, about demonstrations, this, that and the other. So with that done, we'll move on. There'll be a few cut edits in this, because each time I don't want you to have to sit through me moving cables and things around, but I will show you all the pertinent points. So time for a quick cut. Okay, so let's move on to the next part, which is also simple. I've made 2 more small movies to demonstrate this, and in this one we're going to plug the HDMI cable in. Now you really shouldn't need an instruction manual for that, but let's have a look, because there is something I wanted to just further demonstrate. So here's the camera, there's the HDMI cable, there it is being plugged in. How professional was that? But seriously though, look, the cable, which is quite thick and heavy, is vertical with regards to the port on the camera, and therefore protecting it. Okay, so I think that demonstrates that. The next thing is getting the right adapter. I got it wrong first time because I just wasn't thinking, so hopefully this will do the thinking for you. Let's have a look. So if we look at this adapter, when I pull it out and look at the shape of this, the D, unlike a USB cable which you can turn upside down, you can't turn upside down an HDMI cable. Now these two are different, notice. The D is the different way. That's the one I needed, clearly, but I originally bought this one. And of course it only fits in that way. And if I fit it in that way, then the other socket's at the top and it can't possibly plug in. So that is an issue. So $4.99 wasted-ish. Well, not really, because I sent it straight back to Amazon and I ordered a dual pack. So I've got both the left and right angle versions of this connector, future-proofing myself against what might be on other cameras. Okay. Other things to note when you're buying these is HDMI cables do come in different sizes. You can have mini and you can have standard and so on. So make sure you're getting the appropriate one for your HDMI cable. And that's it really. They are the connection parts. So I've got an HDMI cable. I've got a video capture card, which I'll talk about in a minute. And I've got a right angle connector and the rest. Oh, and a little bit of software, which I'll come back to as well. Let's have another grab of something from the back of the camera. I'll do another cut and then I'll talk through those individual parts and then we're probably done. Another cut. Which way? That way. Okay, so at this point I nearly had to write to Alanis Morissette to say that her lyrics to Ironic weren't quite ironic, because I'm now going to show you what the initial problem of trying to capture from the back of something is. I had to use my camera. So my camera phone, that is. So without further ado, let's have a look at that, shall we? So here's my iPad on the floor with all the reflections and everything, and we'll just play it. The reason I was doing this is just to show you the CamX software, which I'll close in on in a minute. And there it is, asking for the HDMI to be connected, or rather the USB. So I plug the USB in and it talks to the camera. They have a shake of hands and they say, all right, I know what you're doing. It can take a few seconds for that to happen. And there's the view through my camera. That happens to be one of the other interesting things in my room. That's my oscilloscope from when I'm doing my electronics. So, but it was just something to do. Here I've pressed the record button. It's now recording. So that's the back of my camera being recorded and everything I do in it. So just jump into a menu, fly around a few menus, and then we stop the recording. Took a picture. That was the picture. And then I was just, you can see it's still reflecting back the camera. And I stopped the recording at some point. So there you go. That was that. And this is how it looks when it is all hooked up. So there's the back of my camera. You can see the right angle connector carrying the weight of the cable, which goes all the way to the floor, and a messy bed behind. Oh dear. Bubble machines. See the bubble machines to the left? We're using those on a photo walk the other night. Cable down to the carpet. Clean carpet though. All the way up. Right angle connector into the iPad. And there's the back of my camera showing on the iPad, which I can then record as demonstrated in the previous bit of video. So there you go. So what are we doing here? What we are doing is a video capture. Go away. And let me bring the component parts up. So firstly, this is the software. So the software didn't cost anything. It is free. This is for iPad. It doesn't work on your desktop. So if you're searching that app store on your desktop, you might not find it. Incidentally, yes, this is Apple orientated, but there are similar pieces of software which capture USB and webcams and things like that available for Windows. I just don't have the ability to demonstrate them because I don't have Windows. So there's the software. So there's £0 and pence so far. And then we've got the right angle connectors, which I told you about. They cost me $6.39, but I did get two, and they were reduced from $7.99. And remember, when you're getting these, to get the ones with the appropriate size HDMI connector for your camera and the appropriate size outlet for your particular cables as well. And left and right orientation makes a difference. Then we've got the main show. So this is a video capture card. Essentially it converts an HDMI source in this case from our camera, to USB that a laptop or an iPad or a desktop would see as just a video stream, just like a webcam. So that's what that's doing. It's converting it into a stream that can come down a USB-C and is more universally accepted by those other devices. If you want to talk technical about it, we can possibly do in comments, but that's all you really need to know. And look at the price. I've not had an issue with this, and I've used it for hours since getting it to really try it out. $7.99. So far, that is, with that previous one being discounted, that's under £15, and if we didn't include the discount on the previous one, that is $15.98, so £16. Now I happen to have other bits and bobs around, like USB cables, so I didn't have to buy those, but the USB cable I was using was this one, which I found to be very good and very sturdy as well, and that cost me $6.21 at the time. And so really £20 to £22 maximum if you include the USB cables, but most people would have one of those kicking around. Anything else to think of? Possibly little adapters. If you've got a USB-C here but your laptop's a USB-A, you may need a C to A, but then if you're buying the cable, you could get a cable which was already C to A. And I think that's about it. We've talked about the problem. I've shown you a solution. The solution works. Is it the most professional solution? No. Does it cost £500? No. Is it adequate? Certainly is for what it is intended, recording at 1080p. I haven't had an issue with it so far, and from the setup I showed you in the other room, that's how I'd use it demoing if I was out on a technical camera walk. So the iPad is up on a stand above my head so people behind can see. So when I'm in front of the camera doing things, my big head isn't blocking their view and they can all see what's going on in the back of the camera. Any questions, stick them down below. I'll try my best to answer them. Other than that, just a little bit of research and you can have this nailed. And good luck. Let me know how you get on. Bye for now. Oh, one last thing. Subscribe. Yes, if you like this and you haven't already, please click on subscribe. If you like this and you haven't already, give it a thumbs up. And if you like this and you haven't already, when you clicked on subscribe, click on the bell icon to be notified of future episodes. And now I have gone. Bye.